All right, guys. Today I'm gonna do something a little bit different today because we're actually gonna look at the digestive system biology today. So let's get into it. So, what is the digestive system? It's actually the system that breaks down larger food molecules into small food molecules. For example, the carbohydrates we eat, like bread, which basically get broken down into glucose, or the proteins we eat, like chicken and pork or beef, into amino acids, and the fat that we consume with other foods as well can actually be broken down into glycerol and fatty acids as well. So the next process is actually called absorption. So absorption is actually the process of basically absorbing smaller molecules along with your vitamins, your minerals, and your water itself into the digestive tract, where they'll go into the bloodstream all around the entire body. So when they go all around the entire body, they actually can be used for two things. One, they actually can be used for respiration to release energy. Second, they can be used to make larger molecules as well. So a lot of smaller molecules can actually form larger molecules itself. So digestion actually starts at the mouth itself. So the mouth consists of the teeth. Now, the teeth actually, its function of it is actually to break down food by chewing, which actually increases the surface area, allowing the enzymes to actually digest or break down the food more easily. Now, it also makes it easier to swallow the food we eat as well. Without the teeth, we won't be able to break down food, and yeah. And inside the mouth, there's also this structure called the saliva gland. The saliva gland actually produces saliva. Now, the saliva itself, right, acts as a lubricant, lubricating the food, allowing for more swallow movement. And inside the saliva, there is this enzyme called amylase. Now, amylase actually digests starch into maltose itself. That's why we actually call amylase a biological catalyst. Why is actually because it actually reduces the energy needed for a reaction. So the nutrients that we actually eat, right, in the food can actually be broken down way faster. So once we have broken down the food, right, we actually swallow it down the esophagus, which actually leads into the stomach. Now, the stomach actually has three important functions, but there are a lot more functions, but I'm just only gonna name three. First, the walls of the stomach, the muscles of the stomach, right, actually contract, pushing and mixing the food around as well. So it's mixing with all of the hydrochloric acid as well. Now, second, the stomach produces the stomach produces pepsin, which is a protease enzyme which helps to break down proteins into amino acids. The third function is actually it produces hydrochloric acid. Now, hydrochloric acid actually kills your bacteria, and it provides the right pH for pepsin enzymes to function in as well. Now, after a couple hours, the food sitting inside the stomach will actually slowly squeeze out the food mixture that has been digested in the stomach into the small intestine. When it reaches the small intestine, what happens is that the pancreas actually releases pancreatic juice into the small intestine, and the gallbladder actually releases bile into the small intestine as well. So now inside the small intestine, you have a mixture of a lot of digestive enzymes such as pancreatic juice, bile as well. Now, sorry, next slide. So for pancreatic juice, right, they consist of digestive enzymes like your amylase, your protease, and your lipids as well, which break down your carbohydrates, your lipids, and proteins as well. Now for bar, right, bar actually has two functions. One, it actually neutralizes the acid, meaning when it neutralizes the acid, it actually makes the pH level more ideal for the digestive enzymes to actually function in. Now, bar can do this is actually because it's an alkaline itself, so it is actually less acidic compared to the hydrochloric acid in the stomach itself. Second, it actually amplifies the lipids. Now, when we say amplifies, I mean it breaks down the big chunks of fat into droplets itself, which actually increases the surface area, allowing for the digestive enzymes to actually work more faster as well. Now, another fun fact is actually bile isn't produced by the gallbladder itself. It's actually produced by the liver. The liver produces bile, and the bile is actually stored in the gallbladder itself. Now, if you remember, carbohydrates are partially digested in the mouth itself because of the enzyme called amylase, and protein is partially digested in the stomach because of the enzyme called protease. Okay, but to help with this, right, the small intestine is the main area where the majority of the nutrients is actually going to get absorbed. Because why? It actually has the carbohydrates, your lipids, and the proteins. So it breaks down every single thing, like your carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins as well. Now, if you look inside the small intestine, right, what happens is that you actually see these finger-like structures called villas. Those finger-like structures called villas, right, actually cover a large surface area of the small intestine itself, which means it actually increases the rate of diffusion. And they're only made of a single layer of cells, so they actually provide a shorter distance for diffusion, allowing the cells actually travel at a shorter distance, increasing the rate of diffusion even further as well. Now, they also have a really good blood supply. Now, this means when they have a really good blood supply, they actually can maintain their concentration gradient, allowing for the absorption of nutrients as well. Now, a lot of people don't actually know, right? But there is actually this thing called the microvillas. Think of this as an example where the villas are like kind of like the body and the head, but on top are those microvillas, which are their hair. Those hairs are really really small hairs, like our hair, for example, right? Those microvillas increase the surface area a lot more, allowing for the more diffusion as well. So they kind of work together with the villas itself, increasing the surface area, allowing for more diffusion. Now, let's imagine all the nutrients has been absorbed by the small intestine, for example. Okay. Now, at this point, there's actually going to be still a lot of materials left in the small intestine. Why? Is actually because the majority of the food we eat, right? Most of the time, it cannot be digested. For example, like corn. Take example for corn. We eat corn, we actually cannot digest corn itself. We only can absorb the nutrients itself. So whenever we basically release our feces, right, what happens is that you will see that some of the corn are still there. Why? It's because our body cannot digest corn. It only can absorb the corn. Okay, so what happens is that, you know, if we cannot digest this corn, right, what happens is that those feces will basically travel to the small intestine and then into the large intestine itself, where the role of the large intestine is actually to absorb any excess water or many extra minerals as well, and they will form feces. Those feces will basically travel down the large intestine itself and will be stored at the rectum itself. Now, when they are stored at the rectum, what happens is that if we will need to go and poo, what happens is that it'll get released by the anus. And that, my friends, is the entire digestive system. There is more to this, but this is biology. So thank you so much for watching and happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, everyone. Peace.